All right, okay. So if you guys are just joining in, this is Rafael, a product marketing manager over the MimicPro simulation. If you're just chiming in, go ahead and leave us in the comment. Let us know that you can hear us okay. And let us know if you've used MimicPro before or if this is the first time taking a look at MimicPro. We're going to go ahead and get started here in just 1 second. We'll let a few folks kind of roll in the next minute or so. But in this bootcamp, real quick, what we want to do is jump into. We're going to talk a little bit about what MimicPro is. We're briefly going to cover what it is not, because that's something that I think we sometimes forget to do in marketing in general. Is talk about what things are or what things may not be. Let's see. So we got Mary. Looks like you haven't used our simulation, so that's good. Welcome. You're in the right place for this. We're going to talk a little bit again, but what the simulation is and also what it is not. Also, in the chat here later on, we're going to watch a video from one of my favorite professors, this Ryan Russell. When you get to, you see his video here in a little bit, but extremely passionate not only about marketing but about teaching as a whole, which is really what gets me excited on the daily and weekly basis to come to work and work on simulations and updating our textbooks so that you guys will have the best opportunity, the best tools at your disposal to teach. I remember back in college when learning from professors, my favorite professors were the ones that took the textbook, closed the textbook, put it on the desk, and they would tell us stories. I had an accounting professor that would tell me a story about a mining company that he used to work for and what the accounting that he had to do to take care of accidents and reporting accidents and losses and things of that nature. I remember those stories. And so our goal and my goal as a product marketing manager is to create the tools and the resources for you as a professor so that you know that the tools are there to help you with your teaching and that you can put the book down and bring in your personal passion and energy into the classroom as you teach so that the students can learn from that. They can learn about a term in a textbook. That's good. But they need you and they need your passion in the classroom. And that's, again, what drives me in what we do here at Stukin to help educators so that you can turn around and help your students. Okay, so let's jump right into the bootcamp real quick. Like I said, we're going to take a quick look at the simulation, what it is and what it's not. We'll show a video of Ryan Russell here in just a minute as well. We're also going to take a look at inside of the simulation so that you can see the different requirements and how to navigate through that simulation. I also want to look at a challenge that we're going to run through as if some of you guys that are here have already used our simulation in the past, or even if you're planning on using it here in the fall, there's a challenge that I would like to issue to you guys for an opportunity to get feedback from you and your students on the simulation as we get ready to take MimicPro through an overhaul so that you guys get an even better experience with the simulation. And as we do that we can hear and put your comments and your feedbacks front and center as we get ready to do that. And lastly, we'll talk about a couple of new updates that are happening to MimicPro. And when we're all done with that, we're going to divide into 3 different groups. One for brand new users. So Mary, Marilyn, you guys are going to get a chance to be in group number 1 with Sierra and Austin. We're going to talk sort of base level MimicPro and how to use it in your classroom, how to adopt it in your current curriculum. But if you're going to do, say you've been using MimicPro for 1, 2, or maybe even 3 semesters, you're going to get a chance to run through round 3, as well as a little bit of one of the new updates that are coming out, which is shopping ads. But if you've been with us for a while, you're one of our veterans using MimicPro. You know that it's been needing an update for a little bit, and this is going to be your chance if you're again a veteran using our product in group 3 here in a minute. We'll get to take a closer look at shopping ads and how you can apply that into your classroom in round 4 of the simulation. Okay, so let's jump right in. As part of this exercise, it may sound a little silly, but I want to take a minute just to kind of push everything aside for a second. And I want to go through this exercise. It's kind of one of my favorite exercises to go through as we get ready to introduce MimicPro and what it's capable of doing. So just for a second, I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to imagine your favorite vacationing spot, a place that if you were to pick any day of the year and stay there as long as you could without any worries about a job or assignments that you had to grade or anything that wherever you had to be, no responsibilities, right? So where would that place be? What does that wind feel like? Is it cold? Is it what does the air feel like? Is the ocean nearby? I'm originally from Argentina, so I always think of the northern part of Argentina where the trees and the I don't want to call it the jungle because it's not a jungle, but the rainforest. That's what I was looking for. Uh, and I can think of how thick the rainforest is driving through the street. So again, that's my place of haven, right? So you got a place like that in mind? Now, up next, what we want to do is think about this. Say you had for a moment $50,000 of money that you could spend on this trip to do whatever you wanted, right? Now, how much better would that trip be for you? What would your experience be like if you had nothing to worry about, and on top of that, you had $50,000 to spend on whatever you wanted to? And lastly, the third thing would be, would you spend it all in one place? Probably not, right? The different places that you would want to eat, the things that you would want to experience, right? So I know it's a bit of a stretch, but in a way, if you're anything like me or Ryan Russell and you're passionate about digital marketing, that may or may not be a place of haven for you. But if you could give your students that perfect place, that if they had all the experience that they needed, combined with some real world certifications with Google Ads, with your outstanding teaching instructions, and they had a chance to play with $50,000 worth of spending ads, how much more prepared would they be to truly enjoy that place later on, whether it's their first job, or whether it's launching their own business, whatever it might be, having all of those things in place just make it so much easier for you to enjoy that moment when you get there. Number one. And number two, really is being able to understand that if you go into it with a plan, just like you would as you go into a vacation, knowing that you had the $50,000 to spend, you would go into it strategically, knowing I would spend $5,000 here, $5,000 there. So, like I said, a bit of a stretch, but that is in a nutshell what MimicPro is, and what it does is it allows you and it gives you the opportunity to give your students that experience, like I said. And so what I like to say is that it gives your students the opportunity to get into a new ad platform, take what they've learned in the classroom and practice and play with some basic inside of the PPC ecosystem. So I get to apply their skills, and again, just play with it. See what a keyword research feels like. See what happens if I overbid or underbid on a particular keyword based on the competitiveness level of that keyword, based on the search volume of that keyword. What about should I pay attention to my margins on a product, or should I just go right into just start bidding for everything that's available? So again, I would go into it with a little bit of strategy. So what I want to do next real quick is I'm going to put in the chat a video link of Ryan Russell. Like I said, one of my favorite professors, just because of his sheer passion and energy. This was actually recorded last year during ProfCon. And so take 2 minutes, and go out and watch that video. Let me know in the comments when you are back, so that way we can pick up where we left off. So if you're just joining us, go to the chat, find that video of Ryan Russell, so that you can again get to meet the guy. You'll like him. He's one of my favorites. But again, his passion and what he does for his students. Okay, so as you're finishing that video, just let me know in the comments that you're back in so we can pick up where we left off. Again, just a short 2-minute video of Ryan Russell and what he does with MimicPro and how he pairs it with Google Ads certifications. I'm going to leave in the comments here, I'm going to leave in the chat a link to Google Ads certification, just so you have that to go along with that video. So save that link if you haven't done that, if you haven't figured out a way to implement that into your classroom. Something that Ryan has been very willing to do for us is that if you are looking for an opportunity to meet Ryan and to consider how he is using that combination of the Google Ads certification as well as MimicPro, just let us know, and we can try to connect you with him, so that you guys can have a one-on-one, talk about how he's doing it and how you might be able to benefit from his experience and past. Okay, so hopefully you're coming back. Again, let me know in the comments so that we can just go ahead and pick up from where we were. Like I said, Ryan just obviously very excited. He loves marketing, from his agency to teaching to the classroom, all around. Just a great guy to be around. But again, it comes down to focusing on bringing that passion into the classroom rather than just teaching from the textbook, or in this case from the simulation. Okay. So let's do up next. What we're going to do is we're going to cover a look inside of the simulation, inside of MimicPro. So for those of you guys who have already used it before, this is going to sound familiar. For those of you guys that are thinking about using MimicPro, this is where you want to pay attention to. This is the experience that your students are going to have as they get started through the simulation, as they go through the various rounds. You'll see the different learning objectives, the different requirements or tasks that they'll have to complete. And we'll also look into kind of what the results look like as they finish up and they get a chance to evaluate their performance. After that, we'll take a quick look at what is new right now in MimicPro. So that is the part where you that have already used MimicPro in the past, you want to pay attention to that section. So getting into the platform right here as a brand new student, they will get a chance to pick from 3 products. They'll be given 3 products to choose from. They could obviously run ads for all of them. They'll have a $5,000 budget to spend on this, but it takes work. And sometimes, as you may know, the students like to avoid that thing called work, and then they worry or wonder why their performance or their score or their learning hasn't improved as much as they thought it would. So starting out, we're only giving them 3 products. Later on, they get to unlock the entire catalog of products. But with these 3 products, they get to do a little bit of analysis to look at the pricing, the margin. They get a chance to, again, so looking inside of the MimicPro, they get a chance to look at the margins and consider, hey, as a student, or rather as a digital marketer, what's my flexibility look like in terms of my ROAS, or how much am I willing to spend to acquire a customer for, in this case, Panasonic? You know, at 105% margin, I might be willing to spend closer to $15, $20, $30 per sale. It depends, because again, the numbers make sense. But would I be willing to spend $80 to acquire somebody to purchase a MimicPro, a GoPro Hero 7 camera? So again, it gives me an opportunity to jump in and do some basic analysis of my catalog and see where I'm at with that. Okay, so from there, I get a chance to, as a student, to review, to do some keyword research. I get to do just type in some searches. I get to find out the competition level of that particular keyword, the suggested bid for that particular keyword. I get to see the monthly searches for that keyword. And again, based on the product that I decided to run an ad for, I should be looking at the appropriate keywords. One thing that I would do for you guys is, as you, especially those that have already used MimicPro, Once you get into round 2, what I would recommend is that have your students download the keywords that we have in the keyword research or the keyword planner tool, if you will, and have them use something like Excel or Google Sheets to take all of those keywords that are available within the simulation and sort it, do a search, and start finding keywords and do a comparison between maybe even a pivot table. I don't know how creative you want to get. But again, even in a real world scenario, you wouldn't just jump right into a platform and try to use whatever's there. Usually you want to pull things or using a tool like SEMrush, or again, in my case, it's just a spreadsheet, and start doing some analytical comparison between different keywords. What does a high competition look like? What does a medium or a low competition keyword look like? And some of the relevancies. And in some ways, Amy, to answer your question, in some ways it is similar to Mimic Social in terms of being able to run a simulation, get some impressions, get some clicks, get some conversions without having to spend some real money. But in the case of MimicPro, it allows students to do that within the PPC, in the pay-per-click environment or ecosystem. So in this case, search campaigns. Later on, we're going to get into shopping campaigns. And we're going to talk about an update that's coming in the fall where I need your help with, which is display ads. So again, have them pull the keywords out and do some analysis there. So up next, once they submit round 1, they'll get something like this. They'll get a chance to go through and, or rather before they submit the round, they'll get a chance to go through and review everything that's the requirements. If you notice on the left, all of the different tasks have been checked. And so they are ready to submit. Now, keep in mind, again, that though I have met the requirements, it doesn't mean that I am set up for success. So minimum is entirely different than putting in the work, putting in the time to be the top performer in my class. So just because my requirements have met and I can run the simulation doesn't mean that I'm going to get the best results possible. So those students that come in, they do the reading, they do the research, they put in the time, they're the ones that are going to do significantly better than the rest. So another thing that they get to cover as students is landing pages and SEO. Very briefly, this simulation covers the basics of templates, selecting a template, making sure that the relevant keywords that you're planning on running ads for, that those keywords are found on the title, on the meta tags, as well as in the body of your landing pages. And also with that, and when it comes to landing pages and SEO, it's the idea that the homepage of a website will always convert less, or that the conversion rates will be lower on that page than if you move on to a brand page, such as GoPro. And of course, the highest conversions are going to be found in a product page that shows me a GoPro Hero 7 camera, as opposed to just taking me to the GoPro. So now I get to choose all the GoPros. And so the more relevant my click is, my search terms are, the higher my purchase intent is, and the higher I am to convert. Yes, I may get perhaps lower click-through rates, but my conversions, I should expect my conversions to be higher when I have the proper landing page in place. And that's the same for ads as well as email inside of MimicPro. Is that making sense? Okay, so that wraps up landing pages there. When it comes to the creation of an ad campaign, search ad campaign in this case, it's very similar to what's available in different platforms in terms of organizing campaigns and ad groups and ads, and setting a budget and a name for those. You got your ad groups as well. Now, based on the keywords that you have selected that are available, now you get to set your bid for those specific keywords and only select the ones that you want to put inside of this ad group that you want to bid for. And then moving on, they get to create the actual ad with 2 headlines in this particular instance, with a display URL that is going to show up on their ad, as well as the description for their ad. Again, they get to kind of run through this exercise and making sure that they have the proper landing page and the relevant keywords. The system will be looking for that relevancy. So if you have, if you're sending me to as the visitor, if you're sending me to the GoPro Hero 7 landing page, and that's the destination, but then your ad was about GoPro, just GoPro in general, and there's very little Hero 7 term specific keywords, then it makes it a little harder for me to. I was hoping just to, based on my search terms, I was hoping to find general information about GoPro, and instead you took me to a specific landing page. So again, everything needs to be in line in terms of purchase intent and what we want our clicks to do. Okay, and when it comes to insights, once you run the simulation, it'll give you an opportunity to take a look at your ads, how they're doing overall, and you can look at specific keywords, how your bid, what your bid quality was like, what your ad relevancy was, what your page relevancy was as well. And so all of those things get measured and reported back to students, and you'll be able to see the students' work on the back end as well. So in some ways, it's quite robust for the amount of work that they'll be able to do. And in some ways, depending on how much detail you put into PPC in your own curriculum, you may find that it is a little bit more superficial than some individuals would like it to be. So again, it's just a matter of taking the time to go through this through your own personal experience and see what you might, how you might be able to adopt it into your classroom. In terms of feedback as well, keywords are a big deal, obviously. And so what this screen will allow a student to see is which keywords are active or turned off or paused for this particular campaign. They'll also be able to see highlighted in orange those that are completely out of the range, the best range, if you will, when it comes to the bid quality. So those get highlighted to them, and from one run to the next, students will be asked to review their ads and optimize their ads. And again, in my personal experience, if I have already pulled down those keywords and made a selection of those keywords on a spreadsheet and documented my keywords and documented my bids, and now I can bring down this data again, take a look at it, plug those numbers into my spreadsheet, and do some more analytical evaluation at that point. So that wraps up the basics of MimicPro as a whole. Really, this here is available in every round. Students will get to do this from round to round, $5,000 each round, to a total of 10 rounds and $50,000 for them to spend and learn some of these things. Like I said, MimicPro does need some help, and that's why some of you guys are here, and we love and appreciate your support and your attention in getting some additional feedback as we get ready to improve the simulation. We want to make sure that we take in every bit of your feedback as we get ready to give MimicPro the upgrade that it needs and that it deserves. Okay, so as we get into it, before we dive into some the actual groups that we're going to split into, I want to take a look at MimicPro shopping ads, the brand new option that is available for you guys to start playing with right now. So if you are a current user of MimicPro, just know that you can contact our support team and get MimicPro shopping ads turned on for you. As we get into the different groups, we're going to have 3 groups here in a minute. Group number 1 is going to cover the basics of MimicPro so that you can see whether or not it will fit within your classroom, and then we can take a deeper dive on a one-on-one basis as needed for you. Group number 2 is going to cover, again, an overview of MimicPro, specifically round 3, go through the work that it requires to submit round 3. So we're going to start with round 3, and then we're going to tap into shopping ads as well. And finally, group number 3, here in a minute, we're going to break out and talk about shopping ads and things that we can do to make shopping ads better, what it looks like on the inside, maybe talk a little bit about email marketing inside of shopping, but mainly just try to get your feedback on your experience and where should MimicPro go next. Like I mentioned, I'm going to have a challenge here. So right before we break into those groups, there's going to be a chance for you to win a $20 gift card and a $5 gift card for submitting a quick survey. So I'll cover that in just a second. But first, let me go into shopping ads. As you may be familiar with shopping ads are those ads that as you search for a very specific product on a search engine, you will see usually at the very top or on the right-hand column, you will see a list of products that have already been pulled from different websites, their prices, their product title, their image. And what these are is that these shopping listing ads, or PLAs, what they used to be, product listing ads, what they used to be called in Google terms, they show up for terms that are farther down the purchasing funnel, if that makes sense. So if I'm just searching for GoPro Hero 5 reviews, chances are I'm not going to see a shopping ad because my purchase intent is pretty low. But if I'm looking for GoPro Hero 7 Black, it's a very specific term, which means I'm very close to, or I'm closer to finding the specific, I'm looking for a very specific product, and I'm closer to making a purchasing decision. Likewise, if I'm looking for accessories, maybe I have already purchased that camera and I just need accessories. So that's where shopping ads come in handy. And in this particular screen here, students would just have one task to do, which is to create a link. You need to be able to link your current e-commerce store to your shopping advertising account so that you can then, again, run campaigns for those. Here we get to evaluate all of our products, look at what's available in our inventory, their pricing, and their product titles. In future options and future rounds, we'll have the ability for students to edit their titles right in here, in the case that they want them to be different than what's available in their product catalog in their e-commerce store. From here, just like the others, you'll be able to create a new campaign, in this case, a specific new shopping campaign. For the time being, we're only allowing students to do one shopping campaign, but they can create multiple ad groups and multiple product groups inside of that one campaign. Again, just like all the others, you need a name, a budget allocation for this. You get to create one or two ad groups as needed. What makes shopping ads unique is the fact that you're not bidding on specific keywords. You're bidding on products or groups of products based on where they are, really based on your strategy. So if your strategy is to promote a specific brand, then you would have your ad group and your product groups subdivided by brands, and you would allocate a specific ad bid or bid budget for those different brands. So for example, in this case here, rather than coming in and adding all of my products in one ad group and in one product group, and being limited to one bid for the entire group, I need to be able to go through and separate them or subdivide them, if you will, by brand. So now that I have all of my products divided by brand, I can be more strategic about my bids. So that, for example, if I'm running GoPros or maybe some of the lower end cameras, my bid may be a little lower. Or if I'm running some of the higher end cameras, I want to make sure that my bids remain competitive for those specific brands. So again, shopping ads require a little bit more strategy up front to think about how I'm going to organize my catalog and what is the best way to build my bid strategy around my catalog so that I have the best chance to showing up for those products. And on that note, when it comes to showing up to things, I can come in and see, once I have a product group selected, I can see what specific ad groups, product groups, were created. And I can also see what products are inside of each of those product groups. In this case, I have all the products selected, so we're seeing the entire catalog. But one of the things that is brand new, also being introduced for shopping campaigns specifically in this case, is negative keywords. The idea is that if I'm promoting a high-end camera and I'm looking at either, let's take a Sony for an example, a $2,000 camera, I probably don't want to waste my impressions and definitely not my clicks on a term such as digital camera. Somebody searching for the term digital camera is most likely not going to buy a $2,000 camera right there and then, or at least not be interested in something like that right there and then. But somebody who's looking for very specifically a Sony Alpha 99, I think is one of the terms, one of the brands, $2,000, $3,000 camera. If I'm looking for that very specific term, I'm more likely to be closer down to the purchasing funnel. Okay. So that being said, you have to be strategic on negative keywords, and the negative keywords will show up based on the ad group that you have. So that being said, I may want to have one ad group that has all of these negative keywords, and I may want to have a different ad group that have these other separate set of negative keywords, if that makes sense. So I need to be able to put together my strategies and organize my catalog in ad groups and in product groups so that I can change my bid strategy as well as my negative keyword strategy, if that makes sense. So in a nutshell, that wraps up shopping ads. Available now, like I said, for any user that has that creates a new course with MimicPro. You'll just have to contact our support team and we can turn this feature on. And again, we'll divide up into 3 groups here in a minute, and we'll get a chance to take a look a little bit of this or MimicPro overall. And so I know we're excited to jump in and do a test drive of MimicPro. But before we get to that, what I want to do is load up the challenge. So here's an opportunity for you to earn just a little incentive to be part of beta focus groups as we get ready to overhaul MimicPro. The challenge is this. We have 2 things here that I want to make sure that I mention. Number 1 is submitting the application to let us know that you are willing to bring you and your class into this challenge to help us make MimicPro better. And so I'm going to post a link to that survey here in just a second. So get your mouse ready to click on that. The 5th person that completes that survey, the 5th person that completes it, will get a $20 gift card to Amazon. So if you're needing that could come in handy. So the 5th person to do that, the 6th person will get a $5 gift card to, let's do it to Starbucks. Just a cup of coffee on us. Okay, so I'm posting that right now. There it is. And so what that challenge is based on the size of your class. What we would love to get from you in your classroom is to give them an opportunity to run through the simulation with a fine-tooth comb and give us a SWOT analysis of how their performance was. You as a professor may choose to do this as well. We would love to get your feedback. But we would also like to get it from students as well. We had one professor last year, in fact, did this project, and that's where the idea comes from, is that she had every student in the class submit a blog article on their experience with the simulation. How close was it to real life, what their struggles were, what their strengths were, their weaknesses, the opportunities, and so on. So if you would be willing to participate in something like this, we would love to have your help. And if you do so, we'll send you more information on the details on how to do this, so that it gives you an opportunity to really make sure that your students are engaged and participating in the simulation. So if that's something that you'd be interested in participating, would love to get your feedback again. So we've got the $20 gift card going out to the 5th person that completed that survey. So that takes care of the challenge. That is it for this right here. We are getting ready to break out into those 3 groups. Let's see, we should have Sierra and Austin available to jump into group 1. And I'm going to post the links right here. Group 2, we're going to have Sawyer jump in and be part of group 2 for us. And then group 3, I'm going to be part of that group 3 right there. This is Google Hangout links in the chat right here. So you should be able to see those. What you need to do is ask to join that specific room. Some of us should already be in it. It'll ask you to join that specific room. And then from there, we'll let you in and we can have a conversation around. You're going to show you around MimicPro a little bit more. Again, if you're a veteran user of the simulation, you'll be with me and we can talk about shopping ads and specifically what we can do to make things better going forward. We're also going to touch a little bit on email marketing inside of that, just based on the last bootcamp that we did a minute ago. So again, find your group, join in. From there, we are going to wrap up this this bootcamp. So thanks everyone for coming, for being a part of this. Go into your individual groups. Again, if you're in group number 1, you'll be with Sierra and with Austin. And then if you are in group number 2, you'll be with Sawyer. If you're group number 3, you'll be with me. So that should wrap it up. Thanks again for coming, and we will see you in those individual groups. And then from there, enjoy the rest of the conference.